Hi guys, it's Miss Humphrey here with a math video. Today we have kind of a tricky lesson, to be honest. We are going to be talking about renaming fractions and mixed numbers. So let's get some vocabulary out of the way. Our vocab word for today is a mixed number. I want you to say that at home, mixed number. A mixed number is made up of a whole number and a fraction. So it's a whole number and a fraction. You can use multiplication and addition to rename a mixed number as a fraction that's greater than 1. So just as a reminder, any fraction where the numerator, the number on top, is bigger than the denominator, the number on bottom, that number is larger than 1. For example, if I have a shape broken up into 1, 2, 3, 4, say that this shape was completely filled in, that would be 4 out of 4, which is 1 whole. So if this number right here is anything bigger than 4, that means that it's more than 1, because 4 out of 4 is 1. So for example, 5 fourths would be this whole thing is filled in plus 1 extra one, because we have 5 of the fourths filled in. So let's kind of take a look on how we can rename fractions. So let's look at this fraction right here, 2 and 5/6 as a fraction. The first step is to multiply the denominator or the number of parts in the whole, that's the same thing as the denominator, by the whole number. So for example, we have 2 and 5/6. I'm going to color code this for you guys so that you can kind of see what I'm talking about. The 2 is our whole number. That's a number that's not a fraction. Then we have a denominator of 6. So what they've done here is they multiplied the denominator by the whole number, and they got 12. Then it says to add the numerator, which is this 5 right here, to your product. So we have a product up here, that's 12. I'm going to bring that down here, and I'm going to add to it my numerator. And I got the number 17. What I do with this information now is instead of writing it as 2 and 5/6, I'm writing an equivalent fraction, which is 17 over 6. So you'll notice I kept my denominator exactly the same. A lot of times in fractions, I hope you're noticing a pattern, we keep that denominator just as it is. So the denominator we don't touch, it stays exactly the same. The number that changed up here is my numerator. The way I found my new numerator, just as a reminder, is I multiplied, and I'm going to come back and underline this in green or in blue. I multiply the denominator by the whole number, and then I add the numerator. And that gave me the number 17. So the reason that this makes sense is because if I have this 2, remember 6/6 is equal to 1. So that means 12/6 is equal to 2 wholes. For example, let me show you. If I have a piece broken up into 6s, and I fill all 6 of them, I have 1 whole. And if I fill it all up again, I have 1 hole. Put those together and that gives me 2. In total here, I have 12 pieces filled in, which is where this numerator comes in. But my number wasn't just 2, or else the answer would be 12, 6. Mine was 2 and 5, 6. So that's why we need to take the 12, which is equivalent to the 2, and add 5 in. Again, this is super complicated, so I am going to be open and available to do a Google Meet with you guys if you need help. But there's also the reverse. So the reverse is true, which is that we can take a number that's already in a improper fraction and turn it into a mixed number. So let's rename 16/13 as a mixed number. The first step is to divide the numerator by the denominator. So in this case, we're talking about this number right here, 16 thirds. So I'm going to start by dividing my numerator, and I'm going to color code this again for you. I'm going to divide my numerator by my denominator. So right here, I'm going to do that work. 16 divided by 3. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say, and you can see this work right here, 3 times 5 gives me 15, and then I have 1 left over. And actually, I'm going to use all of these numbers now. I'm going to stop there and use all of these numbers to make my fraction. So this is going to become my whole number. This is going to become my numerator, and this is going to become my denominator. This is all pretty wacky. So my answer would be 5 and 1/3 is equivalent to 16 thirds. So again, I did 3 times 5 gave me 15. I subtracted and I got 1. And then instead of continuing to go, I did 5 and 1/3 as my answer. Let me show you a few more examples. So I'm going to do one of writing a mixed number as a fraction. And then I will have you guys try one on your own. Then I will do one of writing a fraction as a mixed number, and then have you guys try one on your own. Okay, so let's start with this one here. So the rules are I multiply, and I'm going to try to make my pen really little. I multiply these two numbers, and then I add, that looks like multiply also, and then I add these two numbers. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to multiply 3 times 3 gives me 9. Then the answer I get to that, I'm going to add to 2. So I get 11, and my denominator stays the same. So the answer is 11/3. I'm going to do one more before I ask you to do it on your own. So I'm going to multiply, then my answer to that I'm going to add. So I'm going to do 5 times 4 equals 20. Then I need to add 3, and that equals 23. My denominator stays the same, so my answer is 23/5. And I'll kind of line this up for you guys. The first thing I did was I multiplied 5 times 4, and that's right here, and I got 20. Then the next step was to add 3, which is what I did here, and then I put that into the fraction. Okay, let's try one on your own. I'll set it up for you. You're going to multiply, and then you're going to add. I'm going to try to make this look more like multiply. Go ahead and try this one on your own. I hope that you pause the video and you're coming back to check your work. If not, now is the time. So we're going to do 8 times 4, which is what? 32. Then I need to add 3, so I have 35, and I just keep my denominator the same, 35 over 8. Let's try the reverse, which is I'm going to take 32 divided by 5. 5 goes into 32 6 times, which is 30, minus 2. My answer is going to be 6 2/5, and I'll show you where I got that from. 6 2/5. Now, if long division is still hard for you, you need to continue to practice that at home or ask me to do a Google Meet about long division again, because like you can see, the long division, being able to understand how to do the long division is important to be able to do this. I'm going to do one more. You're going to do 19 divided by 3. 19 divided by 3. And I'm going to start counting by threes. This is how I do long division. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21. Ooh, I went too far. So that means it's going to be 3 times 6, which is 18. When I subtract, I get 1. So my answer is going to be 6 1/3. And again, I'll highlight where I got those from. 6 1/3. I will leave my work up. You go ahead and try 15 divided by 4. I hope you paused the video and you're coming back to check your work. Oops, I want my regular pen. And I'm going to do 15 divided by 4. And again, I'm going to count by 4s. So 4, 8, 12, 16. Oop, that's too far. So I'm going to go back. 4 times 3 equals 12. I subtract and I get 3, and my answer is going to be 3 3/4. So these are equivalent fractions. 15/4 is 3 3/4, and I'll kind of show you a visual for what that means. So I'm going to take a shape and divide it into 4s. But I have 3 holes, so this whole thing being filled in, is 1. So I'm going to draw another because I have 3 holes. So I'm going to draw another one and another one. And right now this represents 3 hole, but I have more than that because I have 3 and then I have 3/4. So I'm going to draw one more box. These are all 4ths. And this time I'm only going to color in 3 of them. And that's equivalent to, and I'm going to do this in pen, sorry, 1, 1, 1, and 3/4. So let's count this up because we just changed 15/4 to 3 3/4. Let's see if it's true. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So 15/4 is equivalent to 1, 2, 3, and 3/4. I'm going to post some questions for you in a Google form. I want you to try those out. And I will also make a visual for you guys as a reminder of how to complete these problems. And if you have any questions, reach out to me and I can host a Google Meet to answer those questions.